So we are here with Christa Jones, and I'm so excited to take a look at her store. She has kind of a unique situation. So this isn't going to be your typical like TPT store audit. What's unique about Christa is that she has essentially two different niches. There's some overlap between the two niches, but we're going to be looking at some things that she can do in her store to hopefully set her up to distinguish between the two unique niches that she has and the two unique audiences that she serves, but create some cohesiveness with her brand. So first of all, you've got your gen ed audience and we've got your music teacher audience, and we have this credible name, Enharmonic Education, which I think at first glance you think music, obviously, and it is music, but I would say also that this would lend itself really well to focusing on or kind of bringing in that overall theme of these two being in harmony with each other, right? So it's classroom management and it's music resources for the elementary music teacher.
Can I tell you more about the name?
Please.
Okay, so I sort of did that on purpose because I knew starting off that I would have some products for general population teachers, and I thought the majority would be for music teachers. That's not where the money is leading me right now. But if you are a music person, is a music theory term. And so what it means is it's a term for when one note might have two different names. So for example, if anybody happens to know where, say, middle C is on a piano keyboard, the black key that's right above middle C is called C sharp. But that same note, that same key could also be called D flat because it's a half step lower than the note right next to it, which is D. So for a music person, immediately you know that's a music theory term. And if you're not a music person, I think it just sounds nice. I wanted to make it general enough for everybody, but also give a little wink to the music teachers.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I think it's perfect for what you're doing and who you're serving. I think it's a great name. So I would actually come up with a tagline for your business, something that kind of explains your brand, bringing harmony to the music classroom and the gen ed space through blank types of resources or something like that. Any way that you can phrase that to let the gen ed teacher who's come there know they're in the right place, and to let the music teacher who's come there know that they are also in the right place. So I would try to focus on maybe coming up with a little bit of a tagline. You can put that right here inside of your banner, and that's going to really help to encourage those follows. Because if you have somebody come in, they may come in for a particular resource. Maybe they're led there through social media, maybe through a blog post. But if they get there and they feel like all the advertisements, the banners, etc., they're all leading them to purchase a product that they would not usually be interested in, they're probably going to be less likely to follow your store. So I want to let them know I'm creating resources for you when they come to your store, right? When they come to your store, we need for them to know that you're creating resources specifically for them. And that's going to give them motivation to follow your store. So giving them a little brand statement, something that's going to pull all of that together for them. The next thing that I would say is I wouldn't necessarily say that you have competing colors, because I think the two can work together, and I can see you've got the yellow and the black right here. They may both be a part of your branding colors, but make sure that you're weaving both of those in with each other, right? So that I don't just have like purple and pink here, black and yellow here, especially with the two banners being gifts and moving. It's a lot to try to figure out where the eye should focus and where it should land in your store. I don't necessarily think that it's bad to have two gifts playing, but I would just make sure that they're a little bit more in harmony with one another so that they're not competing with each other. The other thing is, when we're talking about which niche are we really going to focus on, those are going to be the products that we're going to put as our featured item. So you've got music bingo, a creative movement game, a music bingo, music. Once you've chosen, and we've talked about this before, and if you want to hear the full coaching call with Christa all about how to kind of navigate this having two niches, then you can find the link to that down inside of the description. But in terms of which direction you're going to go, I would say focus on where the majority of your traffic is coming from. So if you believe the majority of your traffic is going to be coming from gen ed teachers, I would make most of your featured items specifically for gen ed teachers. The other thing that I would say is you have 16 products, but you have a lot of custom categories. And I'm sure that you probably set this up because you're like, yeah, I've got a lot of resources that I want to create, Lauren, which is
Yeah.
totally fine, you know? So I just went ahead and made all of those custom categories, but I would take a quick look at your custom categories and see, is there a spot for me to kind of help that gen ed teacher find what they're looking for, and then a spot to help that music teacher find specifically what they're looking for. And what that might look like for a little while is, as you're building your library with primarily gen ed products for a little bit, to kind of consolidate all of your music resources and put them in one spot. Or what you can do is, I've seen where people will create like a custom category. It's basically like a ghost category, or it'll be like have the little music note and say like all music resources, and then underneath it kind of like this for music, this for music, this for music, and they kind of have like lines in between, so to kind of like break up the different categories so they can tell everything within that short section is all music, and then everything above it would be for, say, the gen ed teacher. So you can kind of separate them like that. But what I wouldn't do is I wouldn't have the generic, these are Halloween resources, where when I click on Halloween, I get Halloween music resources, but not necessarily any gen ed Halloween resources, or they're mixed in together. I would do something to kind of separate that out so it makes it a little bit easier for the person who's coming in. So I could have music resources and then seasonal or holiday music resources underneath that, where they could click on the season. And then up here, I would have seasonal resources as well, or holiday resources. I don't necessarily think that you have to break up every single holiday. I think just having holiday resources is going to be fine until you have a lot of holiday resources for them to sift through. But right now, my suspicion is that if I click on Halloween, I'm definitely, I just have two resources. Right. So it's not going to go past the first page. Until we're going past the first page, I would say like, no need to break that up. So if I can click on seasonal items and everything's there on that page, like Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Valentine's, like all of that stuff is all there on page one, probably not really a reason for me to break those up just yet. So then that's pretty much it. So I'd break your categories up so that it makes it easier for those niches to find what they're looking for. Otherwise, they're going to be like, oh, Halloween. And they click on it and they're like, wait, these are just music activities. And this is not something I can use. And it kind of leads them to get a little bit more discouraged. Whereas if I have it clearly defined, like, oh, this is my area, right, for the gen ed teacher, and this is my area for that music teacher, then we're not going to be disappointed. But again, we only have 16 products right now, so we don't need a lot of categories. Just a few is fine. Now, other than that, I think your resources look really good. I'm not seeing any major red flags. The only thing that I would say is that for sure you're over tagging grade levels, which really stinks, but I definitely would not tag more than 4 grade levels. So I would go through and I would just say not grade specific if it's not grade specific. And then that way you're not getting penalized in search for over tagging grade levels. So that's the only thing that's really sticking out to me initially. But if you do think like, oh, hey, this is definitely more geared towards elementary, just tag elementary. But if it's truly a product that will work all grade levels, just put not grade specific. And I think that you'll be just fine with that.
Yeah, it's been helpful seeing people's reviews come in because I get so much good feedback from the reviews and people who are saying grade levels that I didn't expect might be using some of these resources. I used this with my 10th grade chemistry class randomly one day because it was after testing or something, or my middle schoolers loved this, or my 5th graders loved this. The other thing with the reviews that's been so incredible is I get my keywords from the reviews now. So when I first started, I was probably saying like fun music activity or something like that with the bingo game specifically. And then people were saying in the reviews, this was perfect for Fun Friday. I use this for indoor recess. And so now I'll take those keywords, put them at the very beginning of my description. And sometimes where it's applicable, I'll even put it in the title. I try not to change my titles a lot, but once I had some of that information, I did change some of my titles to match what people were actually searching for based on what they told me in the reviews.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great way to pull it into your marketing as well. Sifting through your reviews and seeing how people are using your resources can give you some really great ideas for how to share with others how they're using your resources. And you can even say things like, here's how one of our teachers is using this particular resource in her classroom, and you can share their story. But I love the idea of going in and looking for those keywords and seeing like, okay, Fun Fridays, that's a keyword that I might not have ever thought of before, but that teachers are clearly looking for. Well, I think that your store looks great overall. Just those few things that we talked about, but that's pretty much it. And again, if you want to hear the full coaching call, because we have a lot more to talk about, then make sure and check out the link down inside of the description. Okay, so we're back.